Here is a root-proof, gopher-proof raised bed, 34 inches up off the ground. The secret to this whole thing is the concrete block just stacked up supporting this piece of hardy backer board, which is 3 foot by 5 foot. There's a lot of variations on this, that's why I'm not going to go into too many details. We've used concrete block here. There's 22 8 by 8 by 16. There's 8 6 by 8 by 16. And there's 4 8 by 8 by 8 blocks where we've got it here. But obviously any stackable block would work. It's just something you figure out to match the dimensions of 3 by 5. The sides we've made out of Doug fir here. It's what we could get at the big box. Obviously you're going to be much better off with cedar, redwood, maybe some sort of plastic product. So this is a very straightforward raised bed. Goes together pretty quickly and is root proof and gopher proof. So 8-footers will work. Couldn't find any good 8-footers. Here's some 10s. 4 8s would have done it. We got 4 10s here. Here's the miter saw. Okay, here's the boards all cut up. I used a miter saw. Could have used a circular saw. That'll work fine if that's all you got. These are 2 by 10s. You could use 2 2 by 8s, 3 2 by 6s. As it is, it's gonna be 2 2 by 10s high. Kind of a matter of personal preference of what you got. The lengths on these, the outside dimension is gonna be the same as the outside measurement of this hardy backer board, which is the bottom of this raised bed. It contains the dirt. So the hardy backer board is 3 foot by 5 foot. That's what these are cut to. We've shot the 4 pieces together with some deck screws on the corners. Deck screws have nice aggressive threading that are probably going to hold it. This is probably strong enough to hold the whole thing together. We might use some metal strapping too. We'll see.
We screwed up. The 2 halves should be joined together on top of the concrete block stand rather than beforehand.
We shot these framing connectors here to hold the 2 halves together. Also a little bit of added strength for separation on the corners. Not a real critical application. Here's a piece of sheet metal that shows another way you could do it. Cut it to length. Just screw it in from the outside corner. That's actually going to be really strong. Just lean it up there. But of course you get to look at the sheet metal if you do it on the outside. Took the loose grass and stuff off, compacted it, and it's about 3 foot by 5 foot. Now we're going to just level it. It's kind of a matter of scraping and getting it the way you want it. And might tamp a little more. Got the hardy backer board put down where it's going to go, and I'm going to draw an outline along it with an edge, and that will be our line for where we put our block. Here we've laid the block out on the 3 by 5 pattern. We've got a combination of the 5.5 inch block, like that corner piece there, and the 8 inch block. So there's kind of a pattern of the 5.5 inch block on each corner. That one's underneath. Here I've put another course up on top. So, and there's a gap here. You can see down below there, gap between those blocks. There's a gap there. But using the 6 inch blocks and the 8 inch blocks together, you can work out a pattern that's going to support the outside perimeter of the hardy backer board. We're going to need to level this first course in particular, because if you have anything wrong here, it's just going to cause problems all the way up. So check that everything lines up pretty well. You can see the pattern here that we have for the inner blocks. Here's an 8 by 8, 8 by 8 in that corner. Got a little gap here, that's all right. Hardy backer board will span that 2 or 3 inches without any problem. So now we'll build up. Here we've added the second course on. We're going to stick to 16 inch height. I think that's, now that we see it in place, I think 16 inches is as high as you'd want to go. We've got 22 of the 8 by 8 by 16 blocks. We've got 8 of the 6x8 by 16 blocks, and we've got 4 of the 8x8 by 8 blocks. Here's the HardieBacker board in place, just barely short here on the sides because the width of the block. It's even on the ends. Begin to get an idea of what the whole thing is going to look like. We've screwed the HardieBacker board onto the 2x10 sides, just shot down with these 1 5/8" deck screws. We pre-drilled that, pre-drilled through the HardieBacker only, not very far into the wood, so that the HardieBacker would pull up tight against the 2x10. If you don't pre-drill it, it kind of pulls off a little bit. And so now all we have to do is get the 2 of us, pick it up, flip it over, and set it on the block.
As I said before, don't join the 2 halves together beforehand. It'd be much easier to lift 1 half on top of the block and then add the second one on top of it.
Here's some landscape fabric. Drilled some holes in the bottom to drain. We'll roll the landscape fabric out over the bottom. It'll come up the sides a little bit, keep the dirt from going down through the holes. You could get by without the fabric, but it's a little better with it. Here's the finished product. The height to the top edge is 34 inches.
If you want to eliminate the 2-inch gaps between the blocks, you could get 4 more 8x8 by 8 blocks, or better yet, 4 6x8 by 8 blocks.
Probably the sides getting rotten would be the first issue with this. So the better material you can use for the sides, the better off you're going to be in the long run, but this will work fine. Maybe you already have some lumber, some old decking or something, so that's about it.